Have you ever wondered why some women seem to have a magnetic pull, yet leave a trail of emotional devastation? This is the enigma of narcissism, a personality trait that, while often associated with men, is prevalent in women as well. Narcissism, at its core, is an excessive self-focus, a grandiose view of oneself accompanied by a lack of empathy for others. It's like looking at the world through a funhouse mirror where everything is distorted to serve the self. Now, when this trait manifests in women, it can take on some unique characteristics. Women with narcissistic tendencies often wield their charm and emotional intelligence like weapons. They can be enchanting, drawing you in with their charisma, only to use your vulnerabilities against you. They may play the damsel, the victim, or the diva, depending on what the situation calls for. The end game? To maintain control and keep the spotlight firmly on them. Now, why is understanding this important? Particularly for men who find themselves in relationships with such women, recognizing these tactics can be a lifeline. It's not about blaming or demonizing these women. It's about understanding the dynamics at play and learning how to navigate them. Narcissistic behavior can be subtle, insidious even. It can leave you questioning your own reality, feeling like you're always walking on eggshells. It can drain you emotionally and leave you feeling isolated and misunderstood. But knowledge is power. Recognizing these behaviors for what they are is the first step towards breaking free from their hold. Remember, no one deserves to be manipulated or controlled. Every individual deserves respect, empathy, and kindness. Understanding the tactics narcissistic women use to control men is not about playing the victim. It's about reclaiming your autonomy, your self-esteem, and your right to a healthy, balanced relationship. So as we delve deeper into this topic, keep an open mind. Look at the patterns, not just the individual actions. And remember, knowing the tactics narcissistic women use to control males can be the first step to liberating oneself. Consider Lisa, charismatic, attractive, the life of the party. But her charm hides a darker reality. Lisa is a narcissistic woman using her charm as a potent tool to manipulate those around her. You see, charm, when wielded by a narcissist, is not innocent or genuine. It's a calculated move, a strategy to gain control. Let's delve into Lisa's story. She effortlessly draws people into her web with her jovial demeanor, her witty banter, and her radiant smile. People feel special around her, like they're the only ones in the room. This is precisely how she gains control. She makes you feel unique, and then she has you exactly where she wants you. Why is this tactic so effective? Because it's stealthy and subtle. It's easy to fall for the charm and miss the manipulation underneath. It's a classic case of the wolf in sheep's clothing. Charm can be a deadly weapon in the hands of a narcissist. Now let's take a look at Sarah, always the victim, always seeking sympathy. Sarah, like many others, uses the tactic of playing the victim. She paints herself as the innocent party, caught in the storm of someone else's actions. She seeks sympathy, a powerful emotion that can make others feel obligated to help, to protect, to side with her. This is a subtle form of control, manipulating the emotions of others to gain an advantage, to turn the tables in her favor. Sarah's story is not unique. Many people use victimhood as a control tactic because it works. It taps into our instinctive desire to protect and support those who are suffering. But when this is used for manipulation, it becomes a form of emotional abuse. It's important to recognize this tactic when it's being used, to prevent oneself from falling into the trap of the perpetual victim. Playing the victim can be a potent tool for control. Meet Emma, the master of distortion and confusion. Emma, like many narcissistic individuals, is adept at the subtle art of gaslighting. This is a psychological manipulation technique where the gaslighter sows seeds of doubt in a person's mind, making them question their own memory, perception, or sanity. Emma's story is a classic case. She would twist and turn reality to suit her narrative, often making her partner feel like he was losing his grip on reality. Emma was skilled at denying facts, trivializing her partner's feelings, and deflecting blame onto him. This left him second-guessing his own thoughts and feelings, making him more dependent on Emma for validation. Why is gaslighting so effective? It's because it's insidious. It starts small and then escalates, gradually eroding a person's self-trust. It's a powerful control tactic that can leave victims feeling disoriented, anxious, and unsure of their own judgment. Gaslighting can make the sane question their sanity. There are many more tactics narcissistic women use to control males. Let's delve into the remaining 9 tactics, each one as fascinating as the next, using authentic case studies to illuminate how they work and why they are so effective. Firstly, we come across the blame shifter. Take the case of Martha and John. Martha often pinned her failures on John, subtly shifting the blame onto him to evade accountability. This tactic is potent because it confuses the other person into believing they're at fault, even when they're not. Next we have the silent treatment. Consider the story of Alice and Ben. Alice would give Ben days of silent treatment for minor disagreements or perceived slights. This tactic is effective because it uses the fear of rejection to manipulate the other person into compliance. Moving on, let's talk about the guilt tripper. In the case of Emily and Tom, Emily would often make Tom feel guilty for spending time with his friends or pursuing his interests. This tactic works because it leverages the person's empathy and their desire to make their partner happy. The fourth tactic is the love bomber. Rebecca showered Sam with love and affection in the early days of their relationship, only to withdraw it later. This method is effective because it creates a sense of dependence and confusion, making the person more susceptible to manipulation. Next is the jealous controller. In the case of Laura and Mike, Laura would often display intense jealousy and try to control Mike's interactions with others. This tactic works because it isolates the person from their support network, making them more vulnerable to manipulation. The sixth tactic is the comparison game. In the case of Sarah and Robert, Sarah would constantly compare Robert to her ex-partners or other men, making him feel inadequate. This tactic is effective because it lowers the person's self-esteem, making them more likely to tolerate mistreatment. Moving on to the perfectionist. In the case of Olivia and Alex, Olivia would set unrealistic expectations and criticize Alex for not meeting them. This strategy works because it makes the person strive harder to please their partner, often at the expense of their own well-being. The penultimate tactic is the emotional blackmailer. In the case of Hannah and Chris, Hannah would often threaten to leave Chris or harm herself if he didn't comply with her demands. This tactic is effective because it uses fear and guilt to manipulate the person into submission. Finally, we have the revisionist. Jane would often twist past events in her favor, making Peter question his memory and judgment. This tactic works because it destabilizes the person's perception of reality, making them more susceptible to manipulation. These tactics are as varied as they are destructive. Each one is designed to control and manipulate, leaving the person feeling confused, guilty, and doubting their own worth. It's crucial to recognize these tactics for what they are, tools of control. Knowledge is power, and understanding these tactics is the first step towards breaking free from their grip. Understanding these tactics can help men protect themselves from narcissistic manipulation. Let's take a quick ride back through what we've unraveled. We've delved into the world of narcissistic women and the sly tactics they use to control men. The charm offensive, where they use their charisma to draw you in, and the victim card, where they play on your sympathies. Remember the gaslighter? That's when they distort your reality to create self-doubt. We also explored 9 other tactics, each unique in its approach but with a common goal: control. It's crucial to recognize these tactics when they surface. If you find yourself entangled in such a situation, don't hesitate to seek help. There's no shame in admitting you're under the grip of such manipulation. It's a step towards breaking free. Knowledge is power. With the understanding of these tactics, you can reclaim your power from a narcissistic woman.